Hi guys, welcome to another episode by NinjaGaijin. Now in today's episode I want to talk about what, you know, I get asked this a lot by family back home, back home meaning, of course in America, right? And they always ask me, when is the best time to visit Japan? Like, I want to visit you, when is the best time to come? And you know what, it really depends on who you ask, and it depends on what you're interested in. For example, if you're interested in skiing, well, obviously you want to come in the wintertime. Japan has some really nice mountains. I mean, the majority of Japan is mountainous. So in the wintertime, you can go and get some really nice, or go to some really nice ski resorts. I have one like an hour and a half away from my house. One is even closer, but we're talking really, really good mountains. So if that's what you're interested in, of course, winter would be the way to come. If you're interested in springtime, which a lot of people are, you got the cherry blossoms that bloom. Unfortunately, it's really hard to basically set your plans to when to come to visit, because when they bloom and how long they bloom is determined on the weather, right? Like if it's cold, then they'll bloom later. If after they bloom and it rains, instead of it lasting for like a week or 2 weeks, it might last only a few days, right? One rain and it's already like, a lot just dropped. It's a lot of fun, a lot of leaves have fallen. So it's just something to keep in mind. Summertime is very hot. A lot of people will say you definitely do not want to visit Japan in the summertime because the humidity is ridiculous. We're talking 90+% humidity. You go outside and you feel wet, hot, sticky all the time. The air feels heavy. The best correlation I would say is something like going into a sauna. It's really hot. And especially if you want to visit like Kyoto, which a lot of people do, because a lot of temples, a lot of traditional Japanese things. And Kyoto is very, very hot in the summertime because it's located basically in a bowl. And like it just heats up and the humidity builds and builds. So it's just something to keep in mind. But then of course, on the flip side, if you come during the summertime, you can hit up some of the really nice summer festivals all across Japan. That is a really fun thing to do. It's one of my fun things I like doing in the summertime, going and checking out the various festivals around Japan. So we got summer, various festivals, fall, changing of the leaves. That's another thing that Kyoto is famous for. The weather's really good, not too hot, not too cold. So it's definitely a pretty good time to come visit Japan, unless you're into water parks or you want to go to the beach, then not so much. Winter, once again, it's skiing, right? If you want to do that, skiing, snowboarding, winter sports, you can come. But just know that it does get really cold in Japan. And if you happen to be staying with a friend or a family member who lives in Japan, you're probably going to be living in the equivalent of a cardboard house. What I mean by that is insulation is crap. It's very cold. When my brother actually visited me, he made a note that my apartment was freezing, like almost all the time, and it was very true. It was very cold. In fact, the bathroom was so cold that we had to move in, put in a small little mini heater, just to warm up the area. There would be some mornings that I'd wake up and I breathe, I exhale, and I can see my breath. You should never see your breath indoors, right? Period. But yeah, it's really cold. Now, of course, if you're staying in a hotel, etc., then they have heating, and it's all included, so that's gonna be fine. But of course, walking around outside is going to be freezing. Tokyo is going to be really cold, so just something to keep in mind. And then of course we have the springtime. It depends on obviously where you go, as far as if you really want to see the cherry blossoms. Like for example, in Okinawa, they bloom in January, and then in Hokkaido, which is northern Japan, northernmost prefecture in Japan, they actually bloom in May. So you want to make sure you decide where you're going and then check. They actually, believe it or not, they have a cherry blossom calendar, which actually will tell you roughly when they're expecting them to bloom based on previous data and current trends of weather patterns. So something to keep in mind. And you know, it's just, you have to figure out what do you want, right? And if there's something specifically, that some event or something that you want to see in Japan, but you're not sure what season to come in or anything like that, or you have any questions about this video, about anything in Japan in general, just, you know, comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a good one. Alright guys, bye.